In a way, it's not a startup, but we are still a bootstrap. At that point, I was very lucky to have worked very closely with Dr. B.V. Doshi, and when Apple lost Steve Jobs, although I had never ever met that person, I had never ever seen that person. I think more than clarity, never thought of doing something else apart from doing a business. I think one thing me and Pooja really realized it very quickly in our lives was that it's not easy. Right. You can't just one day come score a century and expect you to be in the Indian team.
So, very good evening and welcome, Darshan. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. So, this is an initiative at Midas where we try to give a hands-on point of view coming from an entrepreneur to some of our budding entrepreneurs and students from Symbiosis. To start with, I'd like to ask you, what does Scarters do, where you are in your journey, and what is the pathway forward? Basically, if you could just tell us in brief about your latest venture that you are on to.
So I started Scarters in 2017. We are in our 8th year now. In a way, it's not a startup, but we are still a bootstrapped startup mind kind of a setup. We are a team of about 28 people now. We basically have focused on building work accessories, lifestyle accessories, focused on business, men, and travel. In that sense, we are a very niche and a focused brand. We are not into a category business where we are just focusing on a luggage category or a carry category. I think we as a brand have focused on understanding a particular lifestyle of an individual, and as and when that lifestyle and individual evolves, we have to build our entire ecosystem and products around that lifestyle, and that's been the model. We currently are at about 8.5 crores of revenue. We do about 800 orders a month, and initially we used to do a lot of orders. The units used to be very high, but our average order value used to be slightly lower. We've slightly changed our entire focus now on slightly premiumizing our brand, because there is a lot of influx of D2C brands coming into the mass or the very affordable range. Our products range from mainly 2,000 rupees to 20,000 rupees. And most of our products that contribute to the business are about 10,000 rupees. We focus on quality, service. Our value creation is built out there. But the entire aim is that we want to give a quality product which is of an international standard to an Indian consumer from India at a price that they feel they can value it. So in absolute terms, it is an expensive product, but if you compare it with any of the international brands, that's where the Indian customer who's exposed, who knows, who's well traveled, who knows a few brands, they will understand that here is a brand who's trying to achieve something of top quality at a pricing that is of absolute value. And we've had this, when we started, we always have decided to play the long game. Right. So we never had these 2 years, 4 years, 5 years stints in mind, and I think we are playing a very different game of building something that is that has to be built over years. Sure. And hence we don't get too rattled by trends and with a lot of new brands that keep coming and going. So I think we've stuck to our foundations, we've stuck to what we've decided to do, we've stuck to being very focused, and I think at some point we do see that customers who've understood the brand, used our products, eventually are turning out to be our brand ambassadors.
Where did the inspiration for Scarters come from?
When I finished my education in the UK, I came back in 2007 and I started helping my dad in the construction department. And at that point I was very lucky to have worked very closely with Dr. B.V. Doshi and his entire team because they were the architects.
Right.
So they were the architects who were actually making sure Flame becomes what it is in terms of the way it looks. And what I realized was I was really enjoying that entire process of interacting with them, sitting with them, designing the buildings, coming back and turning things into reality.
Right.
So I understood that I'm enjoying that process of designing something and creating something. So that was the first time I realized that I'm enjoying design. Then because I realized this, I said, let me get into business. And that's the thought I had when I entered the real estate space, that if I'm enjoying creating buildings, why don't I get into real estate?
Right.
And I realized that real estate has a very, very local mindset. It's a very local business. You do something well, in a particular area. That's your basic geography that you play around with.
Right.
It could be an area, it could be a city, but very difficult to showcase what you're doing at a very larger scale. So I think that I realized that eventually I don't want to play any local games. So that was one very strong realization. But the real push that I thought and I felt that I should create a brand of my own was that I was always very inspired by Apple, and I still remember as a young boy, even today, my constant I always search when is their next launch, and I always loved Steve Jobs coming and launching a product and all of that. So I realized that Apple as a brand had massive power in creating the way people loved the brand. Of course they had great products, but I think it is a lot that they do more just apart from their products.
Sure.
Whether it was packaging, whether it was the experience, whether it was the emotional quotient that goes with every product that they come up with, and a very inspiring leader.
Right.
So I thought that if I love Apple, why don't I start building something which has a very similar mindset of people wanting to buy something in a different category.
Right.
And my first thought was that can I build products for Apple? Can I look at laptop sleeves? Can I look at phone cases? Can I look for laptop bags? And that's where that direction came in.
Sure.
And as a customer in India, I had never had good products to buy for the products that I bought for in Apple. And I think that's where it inspired me to start. And I think what really trickled was when Apple lost Steve Jobs. Although I had never ever met that person, I had never ever seen that person, but when he passed away, there was some void that a lot of people felt.
Sure.
Still feel that. And I realized that that's what a brand has a power to do. It's Apple that has actually made this possible. And I felt that it's a great opportunity for me to, express myself.
Sure.
To build, connect, and create something that eventually touches a lot of people in the world. So it's not products, but it's the act of getting a product out and reaching out to people and seeing that it is of real use at some point and has impacted someone at some stage. So I think that is something that still motivates me today, that if I'm able to create something that eventually impacts someone, and that's what a brand can do, I think it gives me immense joy doing that.
How your father has had a role in inspiring you to see him build what he has built. Did that have a role in, like, what was the, I'm sure, what are the pros and the cons that you faced from that perspective? If you could just shed some light.
So, being born and brought up in an environment where he's always, done so many businesses,
Right.
I was very sure that even I have to, you know,
So that clarity was always there, that
I think more than clarity, never thought of doing something else apart from doing a business, because we saw him doing it. I think one thing me and Pooja really realized it very quickly in our lives was that it's not easy. Sure. And we've seen him, work very hard in the business and the ventures that he did, and we've seen that success, we've seen failures. So I think even before we entered the real space, our father was very honest with both of us of what happened and how things kind of folded and unfolded. He also made us a part of his businesses, as a part of our learning life. So Pooja worked very closely with him. I worked in his businesses. I think we've always had that little bit of not a cushion, but mirror to go back and talk and discuss. And over the meals, we would talk about him. Even today, when we meet, probably the first 5, 7, 8 minutes, we would talk about each other of health and this and home and some domestic topics. But after a while, the way it's the conversation would always be about business and the challenges that we are facing and what I feel and what he thinks, and it's very instinctive. I think our connects have become more on these lines where there's so much to take from him. There's so much knowledge that he has. There's always it's always been a very supportive thing. But he's also left us independent. He's also kind of let us make our choices. We failed. He's never stopped us, nor he's never said this is right, that is wrong. And I think we also realize that eventually, if we have to succeed, we have to create it. Sure. No amount of reputation, capital, or just knowledge is going to give you or guarantee you success. So things like he pushed me to read books, right. I think all of these finally, it's invaluable, the kind of support. And I think as a parent, if you are able to just give that support, it makes a massive difference at a very crucial age and stage of your life. If you don't have your parents, forget supporting, but even if they are not in alignment, or even if they don't know how to kind of respond to these phases, I've seen many young men who have had ambitions, but because they don't get this support either from their parents or their siblings or their partner, it kind of rattles, young, ambitious minds. So I think I've been very lucky there.
How did that thought process evolve, and why do you choose the long game in this flurry of brands that come by and raise funds and create havoc with marketing, etc.? What is your view on long game? How did you develop it?
I think two or three perspectives to this.
Yes.
One is, I think I've been a sportsman all my life. I've been a cricketer during my childhood days, and I think in sports it makes you realize that there is no replacement to doing things in a certain sequence. Right. You can't just one day come score a century and expect you to be in the Indian team. There is a lot of hard work, there is a lot of patience, there is a lot of temperament you need to have. You need to hit the ground every day, you need to get up every day, you need to, you know, uh, you, you know, you have to, and it's just not hard work. Hard work I think is overrated in that sense. But I think it's consistency which eventually makes something big. Right. And for everyone, something big is different. For somebody, it may be making money. For somebody, it is probably creating an impact. For somebody, it is to build something that really lasts for long. So my motivation has always been, I don't want to build something that is fickle. I don't want to build something that is going to fall apart the moment some change happens. So I think sports is one thing that has kept me anchored in my thought process. The second, I think, is that the more I've read, I think everything eventually has a compounding effect. Right. And it only comes with time. You spend time with your child every day for 20 years, then it's going to compound. If you give time to your wife on a very regular basis, at some point it's going to compound. You can't expect just because there is a formal arrangement, things happen. If you want to be healthy, you have to work out for 20-30 years to really see supreme health post 60. So I think I've read so much that I've realized that unless you don't do the boring stuff every day for a very long time, nothing great can be built. So at least I am at an age and stage where I'm in the midst of that journey. But my mind is very firm, and I really believe that that is the way to do it, and that's the way to build something that is really built solid in the long term. So because I'm so firm about it, I don't get very excited about trends and quick shortcuts and all of that. Time will prove it.
What is it that excites you the most about building Scarters, and what percentage of your time are you actually able to spend on the exciting bit, and what percentage of the time do you actually spend doing the boring bits, which is mundane activities, which is the boring stuff that you are talking about?
So in Scarters, I feel that you have to make sure that you optimize what you have in the best of manner. What happens is you always want to do more. Right. You always want to get there. And as a founder, you want to deal with a lot of things that are at the top level. But if you want to build something that is that is going to work for the long term, you have to build teams, you have to sit down with your staff, you have to build great operations, great systems, build relations, educate yourself, read more about things, understand, travel, explore. So what happens is, if you look at my routine, I have very fixed days where I batch things. So Monday to Saturday typically would be, Monday is a day I tell everyone my cabin is open. Let's talk of all the operational work that happens. Now, it's not intellectually stimulating to talk of operations as a founder. Sure. It's firefighting, it's ये हो गया, वो हो गया, ऐसा हो गया, क्या करूँ, बैग फट गया, कस्टमर कंप्लेन आया. So it's all complaint management, and it's all crisis, and it's all operational. And you don't grow if you are just into operations. So I've kind of batched things where I dedicate my mind space to everything on a day, and that day I don't do anything else. So Mondays you would not me you won't have me thinking of product designing. It's just this. Tuesdays would be, you know, Pooja would call me, there is a talk. Somebody would say, Milne aana hai. You'll have Zoom meetings, you'll have so many calls. So Tuesday is a day I say, jo bahar karna hai karo.
Right.
Wednesdays I sit only from morning to night, only with my marketing team.
Right.
So Divyang is here, he wants to talk of marketing. I'll say, boss, there are 4 Wednesdays in the month. You come, you want to sit, you want to talk all night. Wednesday, let's only talk of marketing. Thursday, I sit on review of the products, designs and all of that. Friday, before I go home, I want to make sure my finance is sorted because it puts me at ease during the weekend. So all payments, all everything. So Friday only finance. Nobody else can come and start saying that. And Saturdays from morning 10 to evening 7, again I'm just with the designer alone in the office, making sure we are designing products. Now doing this for last 4 years in a certain routine, it's not exciting. It's not easy. It's not. It sounds very simple, but it's very difficult to implement it, and it's the most boring way of working in that sense.
Right.
Because you want to travel, you want to attend events, you want to take awards, you want to go to such events where you're called, invited.
Right.
You want to shop. You want to look at new brands, what they're doing. You want to watch all these podcasts, this, that. But, this is what it is. So I have found my own way of.
So, but you love to design, right? Like, will that be a safe assumption?
Once I'm done with Friday, I just feel, wow, now my Saturday has come.
Right.
And I'm going to now enjoy. So that's like the last thing I've kept in the week, which kind of motivates me to do my Monday to Friday well. And then Saturdays, literally Tina has to call me and say, now are you done? Are you done? And my friends have plans on Saturdays. Many times we end up planning something on Saturday, but I don't miss my Saturdays for product design, because that's the most enjoyable process that I do in Scarters. But then Monday to Friday, it is so mundane, it is so blocked, it is so boring in that sense.
So what is your view on this aspect of raising funds versus building yourself? You seem to be more inclined towards doing it yourself basis your sports analogy, I'm assuming here.
No, I don't think one is right or one is wrong.
Right. Sure.
But I think you need to be very authentic, and your integrity needs to be in place when you raise any money. Whether you borrow it from the bank, whether you take money from your father, or whether you take or raise funds through a PE or a VC. I think you have to be 500% sure with your template and your business that if you're going to raise funds and if you're going to be able to multiply it, and if you're going to really make a difference, not just from a return perspective, but by what you're building, there comes a time and a moment where you will be able to take that risk. And every founder misjudges that. Okay? Sometimes it's too soon. Just because you've got revenue doesn't mean, this is a short success. And many times you're not hitting probably a certain number, but you've got your foundations right where you know that now this is not going to fall apart. So in my case, I feel that I have gone very slowly because I still feel that I'm still finding that right sequence and the template to scale.
Right.
And unless I don't hit it, and I'm not so sure about it, I would never play with anyone's money, whether it's banks, family, a private investor, or anyone. And I think that gives me a massive comfort of me being very clear that if I'm going to raise, or if I'm going to borrow, or if I'm going to put my own money, uh, I have to be so sure that my business is so foundationally strong that eventually it can take any wind. So I think that is a very, very critical point for me, which I think often gets misjudged. When something works for people. So even with Scarters, things have worked at some point, but I've not got too excited. I've not gone too conservative. I've always believed that you need to have a certain balance, and let's not do something extreme. And the day I know that it's eventually ready for a very big game, probably I'll take all the risk, or I'll go out and go all out. But I think I need to have that integrity and surety of my business template in place. And I think it's about figuring it out. Finally, business is all about figuring out what is the right engine that and then it's just fuel, and then you just fill petrol, and money is just the fuel that helps the engine. But you got to build a Rolls Royce.
Sure. So your 2 plus 2 should become 22. Basically, that's the.
You need to be sure your engine is a Rolls Royce engine. That's the time you'll put it on the aircraft, and then you just need to put white fuel to fly it. So timing of what the market is, and there's so much VC and there's so much funds available, why aren't you taking it? Doesn't work. It will put me back, the 8 years that I have done, and one wrong call here and there, it can put me back. People don't think of how many businesses fail.
Amazing. I think now we can open the house for some questions. If this conversation has intrigued you guys to ask some questions, the floor is open.
My first question would be, like, when you got the idea for the Scarters, so what was the process that you validated the idea? And second question would be, what was the one pivotal moment for your any product that increased, that was the direct trajectory to the growth of the Scarters?
So validation comes with trying, and trying very small. You cannot, like in my case, when I started in 2017 for a year and a half, I understood the trade, and I tried understanding how e-commerce works. I bought a few products from the Chinese market, just bought them, listed them on Amazon, understood the trade, how it works. Before even I got into the business, I said, let me understand the nuances of, e-commerce. It was very new for me. But I decided that I have to start very small. Often what happens is, you all must be imagining that I started this thing with a bang, went live, the ads started running, revenue started trickling in. Doesn't happen. In reality, it takes time. You have to take small steps. I remember in the first month we had hardly 3 or 4 or 5 orders. So it shouldn't break you at that point, but you have to start small. I started with a very small capital of 8 lakhs rupees, I remember. So a lot of people say that yaar paisa nahi hai chalu karne ke liye, or those kind of things, but it's not that. You have to start very small. What you need to do properly, you have to do things properly. And there is no one moment, one day, one product that kind of hits the roof. In fact, out of the 8 years, I would say that we would have hardly had 2 or 5 or 10 days which kind of gave us a high. Rest of the days have always been challenging. So in reality, it doesn't happen unless a celebrity would carry my bag and suddenly I'm on Shark Tank and 3 days sales have, the website has crashed and all. None of that happens in reality. As I said that, it's a patient game, it's a boring game. You have to be at it. You have to slowly increase it. You have to slowly scale it, and you will get a moment. There are. If you look back, yes, there are moments. There are a lot of milestones that we achieved, which eventually brought us here. But it is very difficult to sit down and say that, oh, this is the day, this is the moment, this is the product that kind of changed things for Scarters. But we always evolve, we always become, we always thought that we have to become better. Of course, COVID was very challenging in the category that I am operating. So that was one moment where I felt that I literally would have to shut down, because I was into bags and everything kind of went to zero. But I think we were again very innovative. We thought of work from home, introduced some accessories related to work, and it worked beautifully for us, and it in fact changed things for us, and opened a lot of avenues in that sense. So नहीं होता है. In reality, you have to start small, and you have to have many moments which build something in the long term.
So, like you said that you've been in the business for almost 8 years. Do you plan to go offline, like have your retail outlets or stores to expand and get a brand name? Or is there any reason why you haven't done it so far?
It is capital intensive. From day one, I've imagined to have a store like Apple. So that's a dream, where it's an ultimate space that you can create for your brand. But it comes with a cost, it comes with a risk, it comes with a certain scale of business. You need that amount of variety, that amount of designs, that amount of everything that needs to come in. We've been working on it. Soon, probably, hopefully in this year, we will have at least 3 or 4 touch points in India. We're trying to build a small experience center in one of our own properties in the golf course to experience how offline would work. So the dream is there, we want to do it, and we eventually will have to be there. There is no way we can just be a digital brand. But again, you don't want to start something and stop it. So I have that very simple thing that once you start, then you can't be saying abhi band kar rahe hain. Now again we are e-commerce only. When you go, then you have to be very sure that again for the next 20 years your stores have to be there wherever you go. So yes, we want to be there, and I think we have to hit a certain threshold of revenue. Maybe at a 15 or a 20 crore, it'll really help us.
Why men's accessories?
Because I understand men, I don't understand women.
It's a fair question. Yeah. And so, have you thought about minimalist approaches in like maybe women's accessories? Because as I recall, there's something called as a old money kind of look, which is very attractive, by the way. I find it really nice. So it's just like plain clothing kind of with a lot of texture, not a lot of wacky designs. And there's something I feel it could be embedded into accessories also. Usually when it comes to accessories, like for me at least, my understanding of it is very funky accessories, right? Or either very regal to that extreme. So like, is it possible to design something in that sense?
So when you say old money, there is a concept called quiet luxury. You don't show it, there's no brand, there are no names, and quiet luxury is what eventually hits the old money. But again, I think we ourselves have been thinking, and we have to be very sure: are we in the business of fashion, or are we in the business of creating a lifestyle? Okay, and there is a difference. fashion is connected with trends. Okay, today it's minimalist, it's white, beige, khaki, no names, quiet luxury. These are all trends, and this is all connected with fashion. And when you talk of lifestyle, or when you talk of a product company, or when you talk of functional design, it is a lot to do with how your life is evolving. Okay, and if at work, if a man's life starts evolving in a very different way, we have to move with them. So, for example, I'll give you, let's say a customer who's used Scarters bags probably has picked up golf maybe, or there's a new sport called pickleball. Now if they start playing pickleball, we have to adapt ourselves to building something and a product which is connected with pickleball. We can't say we are not into sports, we are quiet luxury, we are old money. It doesn't work. So I think Scarters falls in that category where if you are an ideal Scarters man and we want to cater to you, we have to start studying how you are evolving as an individual and not define our categories. So tomorrow if you start using Tesla, we have to come out with something that fits your lifestyle. If you start playing golf, we have to come up with a golf bag. And these are all aspirations, these are all products connected to a lifestyle. So in that sense, we don't have that choice to say ye nahi karenge, wo nahi karenge. But we also have to know that we can't get into women. We can't suddenly get into kids' bags because you won't relate to it. Maybe if you are a Scarters man, typically having a child who goes to a school, and you want your similar bag to be built for your son, then it may work. But I can't get colorful bags and I can't get funky stickers and start saying now I'm doing this, because I'm catering to one mindset, one personality, and I can build products around his life. So if your life changes, we change. If your life doesn't change, if you still want that, we have to keep catering to that. So I think we have that clarity of what we have to do and what we cannot do. And we have this thing, everybody every day will come, sir इन्होंने बच्चों के बैग लेके आए, अभी women's लेके आए, अभी trend चल रहा है women's के, but I just said that you are following a trend, we are following a personality. You tell me that this personality has now left golf, now he's playing cricket, let's get a cricket bag for him. He's only using Apple watches, let's get something for Apple watch then. He's using iPhone, let's get something in iPhone. He loves these kind of perfumes, okay, let's get perfumes for him. So we are in that zone. So we have to be very careful of, we can't go wrong in that, doing what the trend is and the fashion is, and
it is catering to a different audience basically, and it's always more expensive to acquire a new set of consumers, and that too when you have so much work to do to satisfy the current consumers. I'm guessing it just makes more sense to continue to go after the same consumers and build a cult basically. Most big brands are built around communities.
And I think that's what he also emphasized, right? He wants stability in his brand.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what he's trying to communicate. That he knows his consumers and his community, and to get outside that community and service an opportunity, he needs to create a completely new engine. If they've not marketed to women, to market to women, he may need a completely different outlook, basically. Where
get into fashion again. Moment if I want to tomorrow extend myself for working women, I do have a space. That okay, here is a product now that supports working women, and the design language has kind of changed for working women, may happen. But none of that, what you are seeing and what we feel is women, is very difficult to play with. And I don't understand it. So I don't even want to risk a rupee on, that. It's, yeah. कितना भी opportunity हो, I don't know it. I don't know whether a girl likes a yellow bag or a blue bag. So it's tough to say no, yeah.
Okay, sir. So, as we all know, you've been in this business for like last 7-8 years. So, what changes have you seen in yourself throughout the journey as a person?
What change? I think you should probably ask my father, Pooja, what changes I have had. I don't think.
Like the discipline, maybe the habits, maybe the way you approach people. Anything.
Uh, I've realized one thing that uh, it is, starting a business, being a founder, and building something. Of course, Dad kept saying it's a very lonely journey, it's an independent game, all of that. But it sounds okay. You'll say we'll crack it, we'll see. But it is not easy, and it is it is an independent sport. Finally, you have to deal with it. It's not. It is a very lonely journey. But I think that's the challenge, and I think. Individuals or human beings who like challenges really enjoy. I really enjoy it because it keeps me challenged. And I think what you mentioned, yes, 2-3 things have massively changed in my 7-8 years of entrepreneurship is lifestyle changes, hooked on to reading, realize that if you're not physically fit, you can't battle the mental, battles in life. So I try and keep myself physically very fit. And I think I've also realized, to value time outside work. So when I'm enjoying, I really enjoy it. So off digital phones, you're just constantly in it. So I think it's a ever-ending evolution, and you evolve with time. So, but I really don't know how much I have changed.
How important is social media, the digital world in today's time? In the last 8 years, how has it been for you? Like, you've seen the transitioning from not so much craze on social media to everyone shopping off social media.
Again, two perspectives to this. One is, I think we live in an age where our previous generation couldn't even think about these kind of businesses. Typically, if you wanted to get into retail, you have to go local, find a shop, rent it, decorate it, put your products, wait for people to come in, have a proper salesman. I think we live in an era where there are endless possibilities. So I think digital has transformed the way we can do business. And I feel it's a great opportunity for us to do business wherever we want to start from. The other perspective is that I am extremely bad at being digitally, socially savvy. The irony is that I'm in the business where my entire revenue kind of depends on all of this. But I personally believe that again these are all spikes and trends that will keep evolving. Today it's Instagram, tomorrow it's AI, after maybe 2 years there will be something else. But I personally feel that businesses are built by human connects, and unless you cannot connect, unless you cannot build a business which has some sort of a connect with the human being, you can't make a great business out of it. So I think it's a medium, and I think it's one way of quickly connecting. And it is important. You have to be with that entire age and trend. But in Scarters, we go the opposite way. I write letters which are posted to my customers. We send chocolates to our customers. Now, typically a new age brand things email भेजो, social media भेजो, WhatsApp भेजो हो जाएगा. We completely go the traditional way, and I feel the traditional way is of connecting human beings. So I personally still believe human connect is the ultimate way of building businesses. So this is one way of reaching out to them, but there is no substitute to having that human connect.
Sir, in accessories industry, what are the main challenges faced like currently, and how do you tackle them?
I think whether it's accessories, whether it's any product or any industry you get into, I think understanding the psychology of your customer is the ultimate challenge. If you really understand psychology, if you understand the pain points, if you understand the customer thoughts, if you understand why he will buy the product, why he should buy it, how am I helping him? So we have this exercise in our office also that, we all know what we want to build. We all know what to do, what to sell, what product we have. But very few people are able to answer why we are getting this product. Okay? So, most of the people don't have answers. So when I sit with my designer also, she'll say, okay, let's design a passport holder. I said, why do you want to get a passport holder? No, because they look crappy. Okay, I said, okay, they look bad. What else? Just because they look bad, we have to get a passport holder? No, it's not safe. Okay. So we have to be very sure why we are getting something. And if there is something that is great available, then it's better not to get it. If you are convinced, if I am convinced today that Apple makes the best iPhones, and I don't think I can make better iPhones or phones, I would never build a OnePlus 3 or a Vivo or a Oppo, because there is already something that is great. But if I feel that there is something that I can do more, if there is something that I can build, which is going to solve some unique psychological problems, not direct problems, कि बैठता नहीं है, बड़ा है, छोटा है, lightweight है. These are all very common problems. But to give you an example, let's say we designed a toilet kit for men. So I said, why are we designing it? So they said, नहीं वो बहुत चीज़ें बैठती नहीं है. I said, okay, not a very big problem. They'll buy a bigger one. Or men don't care. No security check-in पे then they say 100 ml ये नहीं, shampoo ये नहीं, वो नहीं. So then we get into these kind of problems. Then we start designing. So we designed 3 bottles which will have 100 ml given by Scarters for someone to refill. Now that's where you get into the psychology of what you are solving. It's not the toilet kit. It's these things that you build around that toilet kit that makes his life easier. Whereas we all imagine that ऐसा accessory लेके आऊँगा कि it's like a क्या बोलते हैं pioneer or nobody has built it. It's not rocket science. You can't create pioneering rocket science products every day. But these things lies in this simple thing, and then there are no more challenges because no other brand is thinking this way. They are just getting kits. They are just getting kits. We have DOP kit, we have tech kit, we have this, but why are you getting it? They don't have an answer. So we build so many products, prototypes, but if we don't have that answer, that why are we getting it? We don't get it because we only don't know why are we getting it then. So unless we are very sure why we want to launch this product, we don't launch it.
What suggestions or what tips you would give to the new founders to run with the bootstrapped amount? Because in that, like for instance, if in that 8 lakhs, it also comes with many costs. So what was your process and what was your journey and how you would suggest us to work with the bootstrapping thing?
The way I started was, first I thought that I have all the money in my life and what would I like to build. Then you make a list of things. I want a great website, I want a great brand name, I want a great product XYZ. You make a list of those things. And then you put a figure to yourself that ये अगर गया तो nothing is going to change in my life. Okay? You're not going to feel bad about it. It's not going to pinch you, it's not going to hurt you. And that figure for everyone can be different. For somebody it may be 8 crores, for somebody it may be 8 lakhs, for somebody it may be 80 lakhs. When you decide on that figure, spend every rupee out of it. Okay, and do whatever best you can do in that from the list that you penned down. Which gives you immediate relief. As founders, what happens is you don't know where to start from. You don't know where to risk from, and I think you have more societal and social pressure that ये मेरा fail हो गया तो मैं क्या मुंह दिखाऊंगा किसको और मैं मेरे फ्रेंड्स को क्या बोलूँगा लॉन्च तो कर दिया सब बट यू नो योर फियर इज़ मोर अबाउट फेलिंग योर फियर इज़ अबाउट मोर लूजिंग मनी योर फियर इज़ अबाउट मैं घर पे क्या बोलूँगा सो आई थिंक द इंस्टेंट रिलीफ दैट यू गेट इज़ द मोमेंट यू डिसाइड अगर ये पैसा गया ना तो nothing is going to change and sit with your family or you know person that you have that comfort whether it's your friend parents family whatever that amount is. The second thing I always use this analogy in my office is that you have to run it like a housewife who runs the house. You know there is a limited budget, there is X amount of money that you give. Typically you've seen your father giving your mother the money and she operates it in that money, you know. So you have to define that what is it that you can bring in monthly to run it optimally, and they run it beautifully. Every house finally runs properly unless the man or something really goes haywire. But in most cases, the houses are run very beautifully by women. So if you are able to run it like that, okay, where I have this money, I have 6 months money, I have to pay salaries, I have to pay light bills, I have this doodh wala, paper wala, you know, all of that, you have that entire framework and that engine really works very well. What typically we go wrong is we start working on Excel sheets, we start saying itna revenue aega, itna profit hoega, itna paisa hoega, and then you start taking too many commitments. So don't spend unless you have that money. Don't commit on assumptions. It's a very simple, very basic way of looking at it, of how you build it. There is no rocket science, there is no one formula, but the way I have dealt with my team, I tell them, boss, घर में इतना ही पैसा है, अभी क्या करना है बोलो. You may want the moon, but नहीं है. So what do we do? You tell me. So, and you'll see most businesses where women are handling finance from the family, they are superly solid. In the backdrop. There are a few builders in Pune I know. Their wives are CAs or people who have, run their finances. They are so good at it because they exactly know how to run a house. And we men really, really are not great at it. Because we are risk takers. We want to do more. We have that instinct of हो जाएगा, कर देंगे, देख लेंगे, which is important, and I think we've already taken that risk of building a business. But at the backdrop, you need this very basic foundations in place, which I think in a very beautiful way people call it bootstrap. But I think every family is run in a bootstrapped way. What you have is what you spend. Very simple, but it's true and it works.
How do you sell it to men? Like being a woman, if you give me colors in paracetamol, I'll buy it. But how do you sell it to men? Because men have this मेरी ज़रूरतें कम है इसलिए मुझ में दम है kind of mentality, and there's always stigma associated. So how do you sell it to men?
I think to sell it to men for the first time, it's very difficult. I've realized that to convince a man to buy it for the first time, it takes massive persuasion. But once you get him, he is the most ideal customer you want, because he is a loyalist. And he's and he likes. In fact, then the boring life starts. So once I have experienced something, he'll say, "Arey, iska hi ye do, iska hi do, iska hi do." I don't want to go. Then exactly opposite to women. Women want more in a small amount of money. I want many things, and I want everything to be different. Whereas men, वही blue, वही brown, वही black, वही white, वही perfume, वही belt, those same. They're in that ecosystem, and they're very content with it, and they have one good experience. They will stick with you for life. So that's why I said I understand men quite well, and I don't understand women in that sense. But one good way of we've been able to succeed is that men don't buy things easily for themselves. Okay, they'll do it. They're great spenders for someone else. Wife के लिए ले लेंगे, बहन के लिए ले लेंगे, माँ के लिए ले लेंगे, their friends के लिए ले लेंगे. But when it comes to buying it for themselves, they find it difficult. बाद में देख लेंगे, इतना कमाने के बाद ले लेंगे. So we have a lot of women, and we have a lot of strategic communication where we tell the women to appreciate their men and give them something, that could be useful for them in their lives. So the first time probably we have women who buy it for the men, or for their partner, or for their siblings, and then they take over, and then we are able to kind of sell a lot of things to them. So that's the kind of journey. But the good part is we don't have to work with too many colors. We don't have to run around. No fashion, no trend. Same colors. If you look at men, just वो 4-5 color में ही घूमते हैं. So that way it's a very solid, safe inventory. 2 साल रहा नहीं बिका तो भी कभी ना कभी बिक जाएगा, क्योंकि वो कभी आउट ऑफ फैशन नहीं रहता है. So all these things help, but there is a different challenge. But once we have realized that once a man buys from us and he's had a good experience, वो 1-1.5-2 लाख की भी शॉपिंग करने के लिए सोचता नहीं है फिर. So I feel that from a long-term perspective, and if you look at brands like Ferrari, cars, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, they're all driven, loved by men finally. So I hope in Scarters also the same thing unfolds and it works for us.
How did you acquire the first set of customers, and what was that one thing like that took your number from 3 to 4 orders to like 800, which is today?
I think what really helped, and this is my perspective again, but I think 2 or 3 things helped. One is if you start something with the right intent, with a very genuine thought, and being very true to your business, things work. I personally believe in this. If you have your heart in the right place, if you are genuine to do what you've set out to do, the universe will conspire for things to work for you. So I have that belief that things will work for me. Things will happen because I have a genuine intent of doing something good and building something good and selling something good. One. The second thing that worked was, I penned down this letter to every customer that buys from Scarters. So whenever a product goes, every 3 months I talk about my life and where I am, and and I kind of build and start a conversation with a customer one-on-one. And I think that time e-commerce was so new. That kind of got spoken about. A lot of people, and the bag remained, the product remained aside, but these small little things that we did kind of started creating impact, word of mouth. And I never speak about the product, marketing, coupon lo, ye discount milega, wo milega, none of that. I will talk of where I am in my life today. I'll talk about, seasons. I'll talk of mango seasons, rainy days. I'll talk of my failures. I'll talk of simple things as if I would sit with you in a coffee shop and how I would talk to you as a friend. I would pen it down and it would go to every customer. And I think because of that, a lot of customer wrote back to me, and then we got into a conversation, and suddenly there was loyalty that was getting trickled in. I think products are byproducts again. They were just, everybody sells products. But we did a few things that had these kind of impacts. And I personally feel that it's an accumulation of all of these things that has taken us where we are today. So it's not that we just had a great product. These are the small things. They are very simple to do. They are not costly, but it takes massive effort and genuineness to do it. If you just want to make money and just want to trade, these things won't come to your mind. So I keep telling my team also that there are many brands who may have grown in numbers, but I can assure you that the kind of impact we've left with people who bought our product is very different from just numbers that have been sold. So if you meet a Scarters customer, or if you've spoken to someone, you will have a very different positive and a very loyalist kind of a feedback than somebody just saying, oh, even I bought this brand. So I think it's always impact versus, it's just, revenues are just one way of measuring it. But how much it has impacted, how much you've loved it, how much you like the brand. And that's why, I always say that I don't want to be the best selling brand or, in terms of numbers, but I want to make sure it's the most loved brand. So there is a difference. You may not have the numbers of a bestseller, and I don't think I want to cross the market share and VIP and be a bigger brand than VIP or one of these brands that are out of India. But, I want people to love the brand. So I think these things finally had an impact.
I remember the first feedback you had received. You had messaged it to me.
Correct.
And I remember I felt very emotional about it. Why don't you share that first feedback?
Yeah, so in 2017, when we shipped out our first products, there was a customer from Amazon who had given me a feedback, and it still kind of, is framed, etched in our office and our minds. And it was exactly what you asked me. What was the inspiration and why did you start it? And that first feedback was that it felt like unboxing an Apple product. And it reminds me of Apple. And I really hope that this brand, eventually makes it big like Apple. So I think it all kind of summed up there that, whatever we thought, whatever we dreamt, whatever we imagined, it all came in place because we had that intent. So I think, yeah, these are the things, these are the milestones that, kind of tell you that there is something right you are doing. You never know whether you're doing everything right. But these are the feedbacks, these are the milestones, these are the phases which kind of help you to realize that, chalo, there is something that we are doing right.
You moved from a 5,000 bag category to a 16,000 bag category. How was the transition and how difficult was it? And why did you move from that? So there are bags available for 500 rupees, bags available 5,000 rupees, there are bags available for 15,000.
So in 2017, selling a 5 to 6,000 rupee bag, which was a non-leather bag, also was very ambitious. Most people around me told me that nobody will buy it. There were brands like High Design and all of these guys, Da Milano. Who will buy it? So in 2017, I said, "Okay, if they won't buy it, we'll shut it off. What else? But at least let's give it a shot, because I don't want to be another High Design." And we got acceptance. It was slow, but we got acceptance. And then during COVID, I've always believed that when you see everybody doing something similar, you have to go 2 levels up, because that's the space where you will have less people, and it gives you another opportunity to play your own ground. So I realized very quickly post-COVID, this 5,000 to 7,000 rupees is going to be such a cluttered market. And I said that if I remain here, I'm anyways going to die. Because I don't want to compete on price. And let me double it, or maybe 3 times it. So I said, let me go 3 levels up, and let me look at selling something expensive than a Samsonite also. What will go wrong? At the most, I'll fail. But if it works, again I have a long shot to play with. And I said that all bags that we get now will be above 15,000 bucks. Everybody in the office said, "Sir, you've gone mad. We'll be wiped out, thrown out, this, that." But I said, ठीक है, इधर वैसे भी मरने वाले, थोड़ा ऊपर जाके एक दो 15-16 हज़ार की चीज़ें बेच के मरेंगे, but I'll at least feel good that it didn't work out at that pace, at that price. And it started selling more than what we were selling at 5 and 7,000. And I think this is what is risk taking. Lot of people feel risk taking is paisa dalo, capital uthao, borrow karo. Risk is this. You have to have the strength to say, "Chal, nahi chala to fail ho jayenge." That is risk taking. And we took that risk. Today, you won't believe, 80% of my stuff that we sell is above 15,000 bucks. And now my next aim is that I have to reach a 25,000 rupee product. And the way I tell everyone, they ask me, why do you price it so much? I said, I work very hard. I think we have a very beautiful product, and we have the right values. And this setup demands this kind of pricing. If customers can't pay us for this effort, there's no point doing it. So, we have to value ourselves. And I think that's the way Steve Jobs looked at it. That if I'm doing so much, I will sell a phone at 1.5 lakh rupees. So, I think that is slowly something that you build, but very challenging, because the team that was working on a 5,000 rupee product, you cannot have the same team, because that mindset is very different. So completely changed that, shifted that, maneuvered that, build a new team, and now we are into premiumization. But it took us 2 years.
Okay, thank you so much, Darshan. Thank you so much for your beautiful insights.
So on behalf of Midas School of Entrepreneurship, I want to give a big thank you to Darshan sir for joining us at the Insights with Midas event. Insights with Midas is all about celebrating the spirits of entrepreneurship, and today was extra special because we got to hear from someone as remarkable as you. Your insights and your experiences are invaluable, and your passion for business is truly inspiring. Your vision, your clarity, your consistency, and your focus towards your brand is really commendable. We've learned a lot from our discussion today with you. Thank you, Rahul sir, for hosting this discussion. Your questions have added immense value to the conversation. I also want to extend a huge thank you to Parag sir, Pooja ma'am, Andra ma'am, Joy sir, Shiva sir, Karan sir, and the entire team of Midas. Your support and efforts made this event a fantastic success. And a special shout out to the friends from Symbiosis College for being here with us today. It's been great connecting with each one of y'all. We hope you enjoyed the event and found it as invaluable as we did. We are excited to keep building these wonderful connections and working together in the future. Thank you everyone for being here today.